can have a paper. The title of the paper may be somewhat like this: Demographic Challenges and Responses in the Process of Low Fertility and Population and Aging in East Asia. So we can make a paper together, okay? Understand? It's a kind of a new format, okay? As I said, it's a short period of time, but I think we can do it because everybody is a professional. So I think maybe not a perfect paper, but kind of raw paper, okay? But anyway, starting from this paper, we can develop much greater job. Okay? So the format is like this, just like contents of a paper. First of all, introduction, and then contents, two contents. Demographic challenges, first of all, and hot issues in each country. I ask you just a couple of hot issues in each country. Okay? And then, chapter 4, responses to the demographic challenges. You can talk about policies and solutions. Chapter 4. So I would like to ask each one of you to spend 3 minutes in challenge, and then 4 minutes in responses. Okay? So first round is just let everybody talk about the challenges in each country just for 3 minutes. And after that, chapter 3, I'll let you talk about responses for 4 minutes. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then every paper should have a conclusion, right? Or concluding remark. So as a moderator, I would like to talk about the introduction, and then I would like to finalize the conclusion. Just by doing that, you can make a paper. Okay? As a part of introduction, East Asian countries have shared many cultural traditions, not just having geographical proximity, but we have, yesterday we talked about the tradition of Confucianism, and then talked about the history about family planning programs. East Asian countries is kind of area in terms of the population, low fertility, and population aging, the most serious region in the world. And then every country has a problem of low fertility, which leads to very rapid population aging. And interestingly, 3 East Asian countries have number 1 in terms of statistics. First of all, Japan. Proportion of the elderly is the highest in the world. And Korea, speed of population aging is the highest in the world. And finally, China, the number of the elderly over 50 years, 65 years old is the greatest. More than 200 million. Okay, so 3 East Asian countries have a number 1 in terms of population aging. I mean, statistically. Okay, so we are supposed to talk about what kind of problems and issues, and then how the government or the NGO did work in terms of having responses or challenges. So I ask each one of you, as I mentioned, to talk about demographic challenge, a couple of hard issues in your country. Okay, just one starting from Japan, Korea, and China. Okay, so I'll I'll let you do. This time for 3 minutes. Okay, for the challenge, only for challenge. Okay?
I'm sorry, but I didn't understand this session sufficiently, and I don't know much about the Japanese situation for population because I'm just a statistician. So, what can I do for this? As all of you know, most of the country is suffering from an aging society, and it results in lack of labor. So, what's right? So, I didn't know much about this session, so I'm talking about Japan and Korea and Bangladesh. Okay, next please. For addressing such a lack of labor force due to aging population, women's labor force participation rate is receiving a lot of attention, especially in South Korea and Japan. It's because women are passive to work during their childbirth and child care, and there is a large difference between women and men by age. Okay. So let me skip. This is the result of my analysis. As you know, in both countries, we can see the M-shaped curve for women labor force participation rate. But this is the result of my estimate of environment effect. Environment effect means environment effect by the trend is similar between South Korea and Japan. So we okay. So my conclusion is the government policy and the distribution and economic condition have the effect on the women's labor force participation rate in South Korea and Japan. In addition, in Bangladesh, the peak corresponding to the period of establishment movement called the Naripoko in 1994. So this result suggests the effect the social movement on women and labor force participation rate in Bangladesh. Okay, sorry.
Okay, I think I already told you that you can talk about your own country. Not you are not supposed to talk about Bangladesh, but I suggest to talk about your own country. Hot issues in your country. Okay? So you understand what I'm saying? And then Professor Hanayama is from Shobi University in Japan. And then let me introduce Professor Masuda, Mikiko Masuda from Omazawa University. Hi. But you can just talk about the issues, okay? All issues.
I'm Mikito Masuda from Omazawa University in Japan. This is as you know, this is annual trend of fertility TFR after 60-50 till the decline rapidly. After that, in the 1990s, 1970s, it fell below the replacement level, dropping to 1.22 in 2020. Next, this is the monthly trend of the Japanese TFR. It experienced a sharp decline in January 2021 due to the impact of the COVID-19 shock. And after subsequent rebound, it has returned to a downward trend. Maybe I think the effect remains now. Here I will discuss about the notable factors related to this Japanese demographic trend. Specifically, I will proceed with a discussion based on the following keywords. So, next, please. The first, increasing unmarried people. Second, decreasing fertility intention. Third, gender inequality. Fourth, fire fossil year. But now, I focus on first and second. and fourth. 3 is about policy. Next, please. As you know, in Japan, the unmarried people is increasing very well. So, as you know, this figure has shown lifetime unmarried rate in Japan is has an upward trend, very strong upward trend. I think this is important thing in Japan. The fertility intention in Japan has been consistently experienced a decline. The intended number of children among married and the desired number of children among unmarried both fell below the population replacement level. This is about red line, next please. And this is about both line. Next, right? So, according to previous study, the stronger the degree. Sorry. The intended space. This fertility intention is a prerequisite for actualizing birth. So the fact that the fertility intention is falling below the replacement level is a serious concern, I think. However, previous studies indicate that the fertility intention is influenced by social, economic, and policy factors. So suggesting that implementing countermeasures against low fertility can enhance this motivation. Lastly, I say about fire force here. As Professor says, to make matters worse in Japan, the year 3 years from now, 2026, will be the fire force year. The year, which comes around once every 60 years, is considered an unfortunate zodiac sign. It says that girls born in the year are destined to divorce their future husband. The previous fire year was in 1966, and during the year, Japanese experienced a sharp decline in its fertility rate. Therefore, there is a possibility that the fertility rate in 2020 may also decline. However, it may depend on the way the media reports. Thank you.
I was born in 1966. I don't like you.
Okay, thank you very much. And then we go to case of Korea. Professor Lee Yun-seo is from University of Seoul. We can also talk about the issues in Korea.
Wow.
For
Yeah.
3 minutes.
Yeah. Before I talk about Korean case, I really hope to hear more from your presentation about Japan. Maybe about the demographic challenges, in Korea, I can talk about 3 different hot issues. The first one surely is low fertility, and it's the fertility level in Korea is historically low, and so some scholars talk about the real end of this country in a foreseeable future. Well, I don't expect that kind of to happen, but we Korean people, some Korean people hear about this possibility. And the second one is maybe the other side of the story, the low fertility, that is the fast aging, because of this the speed of aging phenomenon, the Koreans have very serious challenges in society. For example, so we need to make some serious changes in our pension systems, or maybe we need to make a new healthcare system, the healthcare structure for our aging people, something like that. And maybe third one is also maybe we can talk about the centralization of population. So lots of maybe more than half of Korean people live in the capital metropolitan areas, and so that means, it's in some areas simply become empty. And so, it's lots of reasons. Maybe according to some estimations, and lots of reasons will simply disappears in the near future. So, these three demographic challenges are very serious, and so some news relating these three phenomena will appear in newspapers almost every day. Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And then the case of China, two professors from China. First of all, Professor Wu Jiehua from Peking University.
안녕하세요. I was so glad to be here to share Chinese experience. And Professor Kim asked me to speak about 3 minutes about Chinese challenges, because we have 1.4 billion population, only 3 minutes to talk about challenges. Really short, but I will summarize. I think 3 key challenges. One is lowest fertility in China. And 2020, based on the census, our TIR is 1.3, and lower than Japan, but higher than Korea. But last year, our TIR is 1.08, is lower. So the reason for low fertility, I think 2 reasons. One is a later marriage for the younger people. People marry like age 29 or 30, and that's the first reason. Second reason is declining of size and the percentage of childbearing women age 50 to 49. That's also another reason. So that's the first challenges. The second challenge is aging issues. I think aging issue is everywhere among Japan, Korea, and China. Last year we had elderly population aged 60, 280 million. I think 2 times higher than Japan total population. And if we count like age 65, 210 million. And based on our projections, 2035, we almost had 400 million other population age 60. 250, 500 million. So that's a big issue. Not only government concerned, but also we are concerned. When we are old, who will care us? So elderly aging issue is not only Chinese living longer, but the issue is not living healthy. That's the second challenge. The third challenge is related to the urbanization and the migrations. Urbanization are good thing, and also migrations. 2020 we have 376 million migrants. That's count for the increasing urbanization in China. So we will say every 4 people, there are 1 people migrants in China. But the issue is there is social integrations of the local people and the migrants. And the migrants cannot get the basic public services, like their children, they cannot go to the school like a local, and also the medical care and other services. So I think there are 3 issues, but there are also more, like gender issues, sexual diverse is still issues. So I would stop here and ask Professor Chow to continue.
Thank you very much. Okay. The final speaker is Professor Chao Xiaochun from Peking University. Okay.
Professor Lu has already talked some of the challenges in China. What I'm talking is not only to China, but try to talk some the comparison among three countries.
No, you just talk about China, okay?
China, but finally I will talk about China. What was the future of China in terms of comparison among three countries? In demography, we call the fertility of 1.5 as super low fertility. That's called the fertility trap. It's very unfortunate. We in all three countries, walk into the trap. The first one is Japan. Japan walked into the trap earlier than Korea and China. What I mean that earlier times, our three countries all control their population. We all have a family planning policy. Then at that time we thought that we have very high fertility. Then the government makes some policy to control the population increase. And Japan is the first one. Then Korea is follow the step of Japan. Then the stop the family planning policy in 1996. Then fertility is still lower. Then originally we are in China. I thought Japan and Korea have the lesson, which they have already dropped to the trap. China would not follow this kind of suit. So I wrote some of papers to remind the government we have to learn the lesson from Japan and Korea. We have to release our policy earlier. Before the desired intention in Chinese people are not quite lower. But unfortunately, we release the policy also very late. How late? It means that when we open the policy, Chinese people, don't want to have any more number of
I
children.
will give you time to talk about the policy later.
Yeah.
Okay?
Not right now.
Not right now. Next.
Okay. So I think that the situation is that because we all walk into the trap, then we have very low fertility. How the consequence of the low fertility in China? I don't want to repeat what Professor Lu mentioned. What I'm going to remind is that China, the increase of population have already into the negative. That is the last year. Since last year China have a negative increase rate. Once we got negative increase rate, we have never reversed. I did the public projection, then I found that for another maybe the future for 100 years, China's population increase should be negative increase forever. That's the serious problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Max. Thank you very much. I think we have already talked about the stories of chapter 2, which is the demographic challenges in East Asia, Japan, Korea, and China. And then mostly we talked about the problems, but the problems are very similar in each country. Okay, so after that, I'm gonna also ask you to talk about. This time you talked about the challenges and hot issues, but I also give you time, 4 minutes, to talking about responses or strategies or policies in your country. Okay, and then after that, I would like to finalize as conclusion. So talking about policies, responses, Professor. 4 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know anything about policy, the Japanese policy or issue. I can understand because I'm just a statistician and I can analyze the data. How can I respond to that issue? How do you know?
As I said, now serious Japanese problem is two. Japanese social problem is two. The first is, as I said, the unmarried people is declining. So, as Professor Hayashi said, it is necessary to take a policy for unmarried person. So it is necessary, for example, matching system and consulting system. Maybe some Japanese young person, unmarried person, need this. So it is a important thing. But the important thing is to promote the fertility intention, as I said. But it is difficult to do. But previous studies say that the countermeasure against low fertility affect the fertility intention. So if promoting the countermeasure, I think if promoting countermeasure, it is possible to affect the positively fertility intention. Because if so in this case, it's important thing. The important thing is gender equality. In Japan, as you know, Japan's gender inequality is very bad situation. So it is necessary to address the Japanese gender inequality. If there are gender equality, if there is a gender equality culture, it helps the women. For example, it encourages the poor the woman. So decrease reduce the burden on women for childbearing and housework. So it is difficult. It is important to address the gender inequality.
Japanese scholars talked about the policies and responses to the low fertility, and then basically they talk about the fertility intention, and then from gender inequality to gender equality. Okay? I think how to do this one. I mean, how to improve the situation. Okay? Then, based on Korea, Professor Lee.
Yes. Because I have time limitations, maybe I cannot delve into the details of public policies or the social prescriptions about children and demographic responses. But I think there are two important keywords about our demographic responses. First one is gender. I believe the consensus is that we Koreans need to move to the gender equality. Moreover, we Koreans, I think we Koreans value the work and family balance so much these days, and many experts believe that the reaching the gender equality is a very key mechanism to respond to the demographic challenges. And second keyword, I believe, the important keyword is that foreigners or maybe globalization. We Koreans, in response to the low fertility problems, some experts think that bringing some foreigners, especially the foreign labor force, can be a very good remedy. So currently, the Korean government in the process of making a new public organization in charge of this international migration issues. But there are some other people who think that this can be a start of a very serious problem, especially the ethnic conflicts and other things in Korea. So it a good remedy for us? So it's I think there will be a big a long challenge and debate and challenge about this possible issue for the future. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. And then the case of Korea, Professor Lee talked about also as Japan, the gender equality is a very important problem. And then also talked about the labor force participation, labor force immigration, the problems of immigration. And not only Korea, but also other countries also have the same kind of problem. But I think you just pinpointed it, okay? And then I'll let you Chinese professors talk about case of China, the policies and responses.
Okay, Professor Xiao and I talking about challenges. And now for Chinese, I think it's a long journey to work out those challenges or issues. So I think that the principle of policies is take actions immediately, and the action should based on not only the short run term, but also long term run. So I think for actions, I'll just make short and leave time for Professor Qiao to talk about. The first action is aging issues. Our government already has carried out a national strategy for active coping with population aging issues a few years ago. So that relates not only to look at to provide elderly services, but also for the childbearing, the old and also young, the aging policies. But that's not enough. And we also learned from Japan, Korea. We encourage the government to practice long-term care insurance whole countries. We already have 49 pilot cities for last few years, and there should be other policy to deal with aging issue. The second is to create childbearing friendly environment for whole society, because the Chinese government already relaxed the family planning. 2016, 2 child, 2021, 3 children. However, the people did not respond, and the fertility is still low. I think there will be a big debate on the policies, because our local government or national government focus on the third children to give a more favorable policies. But I don't know, people, childbearing should go based on the first one, and then second. For third, nobody can get it, then they forget it. So that's big issues, like tax reductions, housing, job. I think to create a childbearing friendly environment for all the people, they say, oh, children are the fortune. That's a big change for the perception. And then the third, I think government should provide the equal exercise to public services good among the migrants. For example, like Beijing, we have 8 million migrants, but migrants cannot, their children, majority, cannot go to the public school. They cannot buy an apartment, they cannot buy a car. That is unfair for those migrants. So that's also one issue. The fourth, I think because Korea and Japan, if we're talking about the aging issue and low fertility, they has experience, lot of experience. I think Chinese has an old saying, look right and left. And Chinese should learn from Japan and also Korea, not only the success but also license. The license also important for Chinese to avoid. So I think we can share like this dialogue to talking about the lesson and the success, and then we can work together for the big challenge. Thank you.
First John, okay.
The similarity among the three countries quite higher than the differences. As Professor Lu mentioned that China now are facing the same problems as in Japan and Korea. But we have some advantage that you got something first, then we can learn. Originally, we should learn, about your shifting of the policy from flat planning to stop flat planning. But even this is some kind of lesson, but we didn't learn a lot. We still have some mistakes. Then now we shift to the age. Japan and Korea have done something in order to overcome some of the problems dealing with aging, especially Japan's very high level of aging. China have the advantage that we should learn from you. We learn your mistakes, but we also should learn what you have done something good. So this is very important for us. That is what I mean that we all are in common. And not only from a region that we follow the Confucian ideas, but also we have very similar culture and very similar demographic processes. So we should learn each other, but I think the most benefit is China rather than you, because we are following your steps. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Chapter 3, chapter 4 was on the topic of challenges, responses, policies, and then each country talked about the cases in each country, but actually it also shows very similar problems, similar policies. But two Chinese scholars talked about timing of taking actions, time of taking policies, and they talked about the lessons or experience from Korea and Japan. Okay, and then I think China is also talking about taking the actions from the Japan and Korea, and then they try to take good policies and good results. So I think you have already talked about kind of conclusion in talking about this one. Actually, last night, it's kind of as a concluding remark, I talked about my conclusion as a moderator. I would like to finalize and then talking about conclusion. Actually, this kind of a roundtable conference is not easy to talk about. But I tried to have a kind of experiment, new format of having this kind of roundtable conference. I don't know whether it can be successful, but I just told you that it's kind of, we can just make a paper, maybe a complete paper, but starting from this paper we can develop something. And last night, as a welcoming party, there was a hot debate. Professor Chow already mentioned about experience of some Chinese tradition and talking about Confucianism. And the 3 East Asian countries share the Confucius tradition. And then we can also talk about, even though the degree of practicing Confucianism is different from country to country, but we can also take some part of the thoughts or practices. And then we have also talked about, so last night we had a debate. I think that was the first round, maybe today is the second round, and we can have a third round to finish this paper. Okay. Actually, I would like to let the audience to talk about it. I mean, the floor to talk about, but time is very limited, so I don't have time to let you talk about the cases. I actually don't have time to let you participate in our publishing paper. But actually, I don't know whether it's a good experiment, but as a moderator, I tried to have this experiment. And the final conclusion or concluding remark, already Professor Lu and Professor Chow mentioned about the cooperation, because 3 East Asian countries have so many similarities. Of course, some are differences too, but based on the similarities and differences, we can talk about the same kind of programs, which is low fertility and population aging. The lowest fertility in the world, and the fastest population aging in the world. That's what East Asian countries shared so far. So we have to collaborate, we have to getting together, we have to have a very, very serious cooperation, and then we can have developing our cooperation and then sharing ideas together. So even though this paper, what we have made today is a very rough idea, but what my conclusion is that as a moderator, I would like to suggest we have to have more times and more opportunities to work together and cooperation. Thank you very much.